I'm 66 years old, and I beat breast cancer 18 months ago. Everyone calls me a survivor, but nobody talks about what I actually survived. It wasn't just the cancer. It was watching my marriage of 40 years die slowly while I was trying to stay alive. They tell you about the treatments. They tell you about the side effects. They tell you about the recovery. What they don't tell you is that sometimes saving your life costs you everything else. And sometimes the person who promised to love you in sickness and in health can't handle the sickness part, not the way they thought they could. My husband, Robert, and I, we had what everyone called a solid marriage. 40 years. We raised 3 kids together, built a life, had our routines. I thought we could handle anything. I really believe that. When you're young and healthy, you make these assumptions about forever. You think love is strong enough for whatever comes. You think you know each other completely. I found the lump on a Tuesday morning in the shower. Such a small thing to change everything. Robert was downstairs making coffee like he had every morning for decades. I stood there with my hand against my breast, feeling something that shouldn't have been there, and my first thought wasn't about dying. It was about how this was going to affect him, how this was going to affect us. The diagnosis came 3 weeks later. Invasive ductal carcinoma, stage 2. The doctor was optimistic. Good prognosis with treatment, mastectomy, chemotherapy, radiation. I could beat this. We could beat this. That's what I told myself. That's what Robert told me too, holding my hand in that sterile office, nodding along with the treatment plan. But here's what nobody prepares you for. Cancer doesn't just attack your body. It attacks everything around your body. It attacks your marriage, your family, your sense of yourself as a woman. It attacks the way people look at you, the way they talk to you, the way they touch you or stop touching you. The surgery was in November. Robert drove me to the hospital at 5 a.m. He sat in that waiting room for 6 hours while they removed part of me. When I woke up, he was there. He said all the right things, how brave I was, how proud he was, how we'd get through this together. I wanted to believe him. I think he wanted to believe himself. Recovery was hard, not just the physical part, though that was brutal, the emotional part, looking at myself in the mirror and not recognizing who I saw, trying to figure out how to dress this new body, how to move in it, how to sleep. Robert tried to help at first. He really did. He brought me meals on a tray. He helped me with medications. He drove me to appointments, but I could see it in his eyes. This subtle shift, like he was caring for a patient instead of loving his wife. The way he'd turn away when I changed clothes. The careful way he'd hug me like I might break. The distance that started small and grew larger every day. Then came chemotherapy, 6 months of it. That's when everything really changed. I lost my hair, all of it. Not just on my head, everywhere. My skin got gray. I was tired all the time, nauseous. I stopped caring about how I looked because I didn't feel like myself anymore. But Robert, he stopped looking at me entirely. He'd bring me ginger tea for the nausea. He'd sit with me during the worst days. He'd hold the basin when I was sick. But he did it all like a duty, like a task. I became his responsibility instead of his wife. I could feel the difference even when I was too weak to name it. The kids visited more. Sarah came every weekend. Mike called daily. They were wonderful, supportive, but I could see the worry in their faces too. Not just worry about me living or dying, worry about their father, worry about our marriage, worry about what happened if I survived, but we didn't. I did survive. The treatments worked. The cancer went away. My hair grew back different, but it grew back. I got stronger. My appetite returned. I started looking like myself again. But Robert and I, we never recovered. We just learned to live around the absence of what used to be there. Now I'm cancer-free, and I should be celebrating. Everyone else is. The doctors are pleased. The kids are relieved. My friends throw words around like miracle and blessing, and I am grateful. I am. But I'm also sitting in a marriage that exists only on paper. Robert and I share a house, share meals, share the same last name, but we don't share anything else anymore. We sleep in the same bed, but on opposite edges. We talk about the weather and the grocery list and what's on television. We don't talk about anything real. We don't touch each other. We don't laugh together. We're like careful strangers who happen to live in the same space, polite, distant, safe. I know he feels guilty about it. I can see it in the way he overcompensates sometimes, brings me flowers for no reason, makes a nice dinner, suggests we watch a movie together, but it all feels forced now, like he's trying to love me back to the way things were, like effort can replace what's actually gone. The truth is, I understand why it happened. I do. When you watch someone you love go through something like cancer, it changes how you see them. It changes how you see yourself with them. Robert saw me at my weakest. He saw me sick and scared and broken down. He saw parts of me that weren't pretty or strong or admirable. And once you see someone that way, sometimes you can't unsee it. I changed too. The experience changed me. I'm not the same woman he married. I'm not the same woman I was before. I'm more aware of time now, more aware of what matters, more willing to be honest about what isn't working, including this marriage that we're both pretending is fine. Sometimes I think about leaving, starting over somewhere else. I'm 66, but I'm healthy now. I could have another life, a smaller life maybe, but one where I'm not constantly reminded of what used to be, where I don't have to pretend that caring is the same as loving, where I don't have to watch my husband force himself to be affectionate with me. But 40 years is a long time. We have history. We have children and grandchildren. We have a house full of memories. Some of them good ones. Most of them, actually. And Robert isn't a bad man. He's not cruel or intentionally hurtful. He's just human. And sometimes humans can't help how they feel, even when they wish they felt differently. So here we are. Two people who used to be in love, now just two people who survived something difficult together. He survived watching me almost die. I survived almost dying, but we didn't survive it as us. We survived it as individuals who happened to be in the same house during a crisis. The thing about beating cancer is that everyone expects you to be grateful for everything. Grateful to be alive, grateful for every day, grateful for your family, your home, your health. And I am grateful for most of those things, but I'm also allowed to be sad about what I lost along the way. I'm allowed to mourn my marriage even though my husband is still here. People don't talk about this part. They don't talk about how illness can kill relationships even when it doesn't kill the person. They don't talk about how some things don't come back even after you do. They don't talk about how lonely you can feel in a house with someone who used to know you completely. I won my battle with cancer, but I lost my battle for my marriage. And maybe that's okay. Maybe not everything is meant to survive everything. Maybe some things are more fragile than we want to believe. Maybe love, real love, is rarer and more conditional than we pretend it is. I think about the woman I was before all this happened. She was confident in her marriage. She believed that 40 years meant something unshakable. She thought she knew what her husband's love looked like, felt like, sounded like. That woman would have said that Robert would never stop seeing her as beautiful. That woman would have laughed if you told her that one day she'd be measuring affection by whether her husband can maintain eye contact. But here's what that woman didn't know. She didn't know that some kinds of trauma change not just the person who goes through it, but everyone around them. She didn't know that you can love someone deeply and still be unable to see past their suffering. She didn't know that sometimes the person trying hardest to save you is the one who gets hurt most by watching you break. Robert did try. I need you to understand that. He drove to every appointment. He researched treatments online. He called my sister when I was too tired to talk. He learned to cook the foods that didn't make me nauseous. He held my hand during the scary conversations with doctors. He was there for all of it. But being there and being present, those turned out to be different things. The night before my surgery, we lay in bed not talking. The silence felt different than our comfortable old silences. It felt final somehow, like we both knew something was ending even if we couldn't name what it was. I wanted to say something to bridge that gap, but I couldn't find the words. He wanted to comfort me, I could tell, but he didn't know how anymore. We were already becoming strangers, and the surgery hadn't even happened yet. There were moments during treatment when I'd catch glimpses of the old us, when he'd make me laugh despite everything, when he'd remember exactly how I liked my tea, when he'd put his arm around me while we watched television, and for a minute it would feel natural instead of careful. Those moments gave me hope. I'd think maybe we were going to be okay after all. But then the moment would pass, and we'd go back to being careful with each other, back to conversations about practical things, back to sleeping on our separate sides of the bed, back to the polite distance that had become our normal. Those glimpses hurt worse than the consistent distance because they reminded me what we'd lost. The hardest part wasn't losing my hair or my breast or my energy. The hardest part was losing the way Robert used to look at me when I walked into a room. That little light in his eyes that said he was glad I was there. That look that made me feel like I was home. I mourn that look more than anything else cancer took from me. Now when he looks at me, I see concern. I see duty. I see affection even, but I don't see desire. I don't see the man who used to watch me get dressed in the morning like it was the best part of his day. I don't see the husband who used to pull me close without thinking about it. I see someone who loves me but isn't in love with me anymore. And maybe that's enough for some people, but it's not enough for me. Our friends don't know what to say about it. They see us at gatherings, and we look like the same couple we always were. We sit together. We share stories. We laugh at the same jokes. But there's a distance between us that you can feel if you're paying attention. Some of our friends are paying attention. I can see them wondering, worrying, trying to figure out if they should ask. The ones who do ask, they always phrase it carefully. How are you two doing? They'll say. How is Robert handling everything? They're trying to be supportive, but the questions make me realize how obvious it must be that we're struggling, that we're not the couple we used to be. I tell them we're fine, we're adjusting. These things take time. all the things you're supposed to say when your marriage is quietly falling apart, but you're not ready to admit it out loud, because admitting it makes it real, and I'm not sure I'm ready for it to be real yet. Sometimes I wonder if Robert stays because he's afraid of what people would say if he left. If he's afraid of being the man who abandoned his wife after cancer. If he's staying out of obligation rather than love. That might be worse than if he stopped caring entirely. At least if he stopped caring, I could stop hoping things might change. But he does care. That's the cruel part of all this. He cares about my health, my comfort, my happiness. He wants me to be okay. He wants us to be okay. He just doesn't know how to make that happen any more than I do. We're both trying to love each other back to the way things were, but some things can't be loved back. Some things once broken stay broken even when everyone involved wants them to heal. I'm not bitter about it. I'm just honest about it. Robert and I, we gave each other 40 good years. We raised beautiful children. We had a life together that was worth having. Cancer ended that life, but it didn't erase it. It just changed what comes next. And maybe what comes next won't look like what we planned, but that doesn't mean it has to be empty. I'm learning that surviving sometimes means accepting what you can't get back. It means being grateful for what was without pretending that what is can be the same. It means letting go of the story you told yourself about forever and writing a different story about now. If this stayed with you, maybe it needed to. Maybe you recognize something in what I'm saying. Maybe you're in your own situation where everything looks fine from the outside but feels empty on the inside. Maybe you're pretending to. Maybe you're both pretending. I don't have answers for you. I'm still figuring out my own next steps. But I can tell you this much. Surviving doesn't always look the way you think it will. And sometimes the hardest part of getting through something isn't the thing itself. It's everything that comes after. It's learning to live with what changed while everyone else expects you to be grateful that you're alive at all.